Okay, we're live right now, bro.
How are you, Derek? It's good to see you, bro.
Good to see you, man. Steve, for everyone listening, man, just introduce yourself and let everyone know what you're doing.
So I'm Steven Masterson. I live in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and I work for the House of Commons in procurement. So basically doing the purchasing for the MPs, whether it's language training, office equipment, and basically help on fronts like that. So yeah, life's good, man. Living back in Ottawa, moved back home. I was living in Kelowna, British Columbia, and I moved back about 3 years ago and decided to completely turn my life around. So here we are.
So when you mean turn your life around, Steve, like what do you mean by that, bro? What were you doing out in Kelowna anyways?
So it's a funny story. I woke up one morning and I was living in Ottawa, and I was just like, I kind of like talked to my mom about it. I'm like, I'm just sick of this shit. I'm like, I don't want to live in Ottawa anymore. There's nothing here for me. So I moved out to Calgary, lived in a house with 7 kids I went to high school with, and my cousin lived there. So it was like this crazy massive house we had. It was a great time. I made some amazing friendships out there, but it was just out of control in the sense that I had no responsibilities. I didn't, I was just kind of living and just started partying like crazy. So Calgary Stampede came around. Great week, had a great time.
Yeah,
that thing is absolutely, dude. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen in your life. So I basically, once that was done, I get called into my boss's office, and he goes, "You have a drug test today." He's like, "Are you gonna pass?" I'm like, "There's no way." "There's no way I'm gonna pass."
Right.
So, anyways, I ended up getting let go due to the fact I did fail my drug test, and then I moved to Kelowna. And that's when things really started to spiral. I made, again, some amazing friends.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great time. The scenery is beautiful. The summers, as you know, in the Okanagan Valley are second to none, right? There's no place like it.
Mm-hmm.
So things just started to get out of control. I was dating this girl. She's a great girl. Never say a bad word about her, but it wasn't a match that was made to be. It was basically 2 monsters just feeding each other as far as partying, and things started getting so serious to the point that I was thinking of I was being suicidal. I was like, you know what, like it just got so deep. I was doing anything basically to numb myself. I was a terrible boyfriend at the time, just because I was dealing with a lot of things that didn't come to the forefront, I don't think, until it started happening. I grew up with a dad who was an alcoholic. So it was just, one of those things that those problems, they don't start to arise until you really start to feel them.
Mm-hmm.
My dad's my best friend these days now. He's been sober now for 9 years. So he's he's doing great.
Wow.
But yeah, it was just, so I called my mom one day. I woke up and I'm like, if I stay here, I'm like, I'm going to die. Like there's no doubt about it. It was out of control to the point. I mean, you came to see me that one time. I'm sure you could see, you're like, this is like,
Man, you know what? Well, Steve, because you're always such a positive dude around me, right?
Yeah.
So
for sure.
I couldn't really sense that, but I mean, we were just having a good time as well, right? So I couldn't really see those signs, I guess you could say,
Yeah. I mean, it was the one night, and man, it was so great to see you and Ryan. Man, what a guy that is. He was one of my best friends when we were little, and it was nice to reconvene with him. But again, right? So I called my mom, and I'm like, something's got to happen here. I'm like, I need to come home. I called my dad. My dad's got the knowledge. He's been sober. I'm like, I need help. Like, I need to get out of here.
Right.
But the craziest thing ever is I lost my wallet. My passport was expired. So I'm sitting here and I'm going, I have no way to get home. So my mom, being the absolute saint that she is, flew to Vancouver, rented a car, and drove me all the way home.
Stop.
Yeah. So it was like, man, it was just one of those scenarios that was just like insane to the fact. And I'm like, I got home. My anxiety level started to finally fall, because I'm like, I'm safe. I'm like, I'm with my family, like that I'm not around much. And I went into treatment about 3 weeks later, and the rest is history, man. Life's been just nothing but ups ever since.
That's one hell of a story, bro. And man, it's so crazy because, like, obviously you don't really tell that many people when you're going through a transition like that. You know what I mean? So I had no idea.
Yeah, for sure.
Luke was the one that told me about like what was going on with you, and I was just like, I
Yeah.
was blown away, and I'm just glad that everything is good now. But man, like, walk me through that process of rehab. Like, what was it like being in rehab? And what did you learn? What do you think is the most important thing that you learned being in rehab?
So without a doubt, the most important lesson I took out of rehab was there's just shit in life, man, you have no control over.
Yeah.
And my life was all about control. If I felt I couldn't control a situation, I would lose my mind.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So it just kind of came to the sense that it's like, just worry about what's happening today.
Yeah.
What's happened yesterday is gone. There's nothing you can do about yesterday.
Right.
Nothing you can do. You can control what's happening today, and you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, right? So I think it was just kind of accepting the fact that everything kind of happens for a reason in a sense. And I met some great people, and just to hear some of the stories of what people had to what their life is now, it was just very uplifting. But you're also in a place where, you know, like I talked to my mom, and God bless her soul, but she couldn't relate to anything, right? So I tell her how I'm feeling, and she's like, you know, like, I'm here for you, but
didn't know what to say.
Exactly. So, and then when I kind of got to the treatment facility, which is up in Renfrew, Ontario, in Canada, great place. Everyone was a recovering addict or alcoholic. So everyone who even worked there, it was just like great to have. But it was just seeing that no matter where your life has been, no matter how old you are, you can always get things back on track, right?
Right.
So that was big. It was a huge adjustment though, because so I used to smoke. I was a cigarette smoker. I've quit smoking. I haven't smoked for a long time now. I don't know exactly how long. You couldn't drink, obviously, and you couldn't do drugs. So it was like everything all at once.
Everything.
And I guess, you know, looking back at it, it was probably the best way to go about things. It didn't really give you time to think. And no, it was the best decision I made for sure.
So now you're at that point where like you're completely sober.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, like I don't smoke weed, like nothing like that. So it's just when I have a clear mind, I can make the right decisions. So that's definitely huge for me.
That's the biggest thing, man. Like, what do you think? When you came back home, and you know you're kind of at that point now where you're back to being healthy. What is it like being around all your friends and all your peers? You know, from the environments that you put yourself in. Like, how do you adjust to that? You know, when everyone else is drinking and having a good time, how do you adjust to that?
So I'm a big non-alcoholic beer drinker.
Oh, really?
So yeah, man. Like, I think for me, yeah, like I mean, for some people I know like that can be a trigger for them, but for me it was just like I have a life now where I wouldn't want to lose it. Mm-hmm. So it's just I like to go out and be social, and you know me, man. I'm always in a good mood. I like to, you know, shoot the shit and talk about sports, and you know, like if someone's at a party, they're doing shotguns, I'll be the first one to pop the can open for you. But like, you know, I still like to have fun. Yeah. But I just like, yeah, I think it's just good to, for me at least, to have a clear head to make conscious decisions. So, but no, those environments, they don't bother me. The thing that I'm really, really blessed with is, for myself, Ottawa isn't where I had the problem. Right. So like, you know, the boys we grew up with, you know what I mean? Like we're all athletes. Like our school was just, some of the kids, like what they've done with sports from our school is insane. Oh, you know, we have a few kids like Cody Cece and like a few of the other boys like ended up going to the NHL. And like we had like you and your brother were the best basketball players we had in school. And our football team was just incredible. You know what I mean? We had hockey players. So I think, so I think having that core group, it was just, there wasn't that issue of it. Just everyone lives a healthy lifestyle that I was at least in communication with here. Right. So it wasn't a big adjustment. And like me and Lucas, like when the gyms were open, we were at the gym every day at 6:30 in the morning, you know? So it was nice. Him, me, and my girlfriend, we train every morning together. So it was good. And I can't wait to get back to normality a little bit.
No doubt, man. The pandemic has really brought a lot of people down with the non-gym thing, man. And I
get it, man. I get it.
It's
Yeah.
tough, but I don't think I'm going to be going back. Like I have so much equipment now that I got set up at the house here. It's like, I don't even need to go back to the gym anymore. You know what I mean?
Dude, we got so much shit here too now. It's like like anything we basically could find. Like, man, I was packing up. So I just graduated yesterday, finished school, and I've been like
By the way, that's awesome.
Thank you, man. Yeah, it's a big accomplishment for me, but like I've been stacking up bags full of textbooks and like just using them to lift, like turning into a goddamn engineer when I need to. It's been friggin' hilarious, some of the shit. And like we have a big green space out in front of our spot. You'll see like people with their dogs that like put the dogs over their shoulder and do lunges and shit. And I'm like, man, it's just 2020 has been a shit show. Crazy.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yo, so for every show I do, Steve, I don't know if you tuned in for more than the Luke episode, but I like to ask this question just because it gets me, thinking about, how big and how different everyone thinks to the term mental health. So what does mental health mean to you?
I was prepared for this one. I've been listening to a few of them, and I'm like, I was sitting on the deck with my girlfriend, and I'm like, hey, we need to have this conversation. But no, mental health is, I mean, especially in 2020 with like, I look at social media, for instance, and, like it's so easy to get caught in the trap of, oh, like this person has this and I want this. And it's just, for me, mental health is not getting too high or getting too low and just kind of ignoring what other people have and just enjoying what I have. And especially with the scenario I was in, like I'm grateful every day for what I do have.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like not getting too high or too low, staying kind of neutral is huge. And I think like we had talked about, like with mental health, I think once you learn to let go of the things that you can't control, things become easier. It's the way the world is, and yeah, so
I like that, man. I like that point. Yeah, once there's so many things that we can't control, right?
Well, that's the thing. And you'll lose your mind trying to control the things that you can't. And I think that's the biggest thing was when I just learned to let go. People are going to do what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. There's nothing you can do about it. As long as you can wake up every morning and try to be a good person, that's all you can only control your realm of things, and just hope that you're the little cog in the machine that can, maybe make a difference and make someone's day better. So I think for me, exercise is huge with mental health, at least for myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's, that girl you had on the other day, I think hit it, right? Emotional health and mental health, I think, do go hand in hand. And I think if you surround yourself with the right people, I think it goes a long way for sure.
Totally, man. One thing that like I still like, I deal with this myself too, man, when it comes to anxiety. And I think those little things, when you try to micromanage little things in life, it kind of gets overwhelming, and then I get anxious, and like for you, I don't know if you, especially like you being like learning what you learned in rehab and then coming back to normal life and being able to adjust that's a huge accomplishment in itself.
Thank you.
When you get to a point where you're feeling, anxious, other than fitness, what kind of ways do you try and release that anxiety pressure?
So it's funny because at first I was very anxious, and my girlfriend, she's a normal person. She can go out and have a couple drinks and do that kind of sort of thing. So right. She's got a great group of friends. So I mean, before the time I met them, there was a few times I was kind of like, oh man, like I'm putting myself in this scenario, like how's it gonna be? And I think personal support, I called my mom, talked to my dad, and they're like, listen, like when things are like that and you put yourself in scenarios and you feel like you want to do something, what I do, man, is I play the whole tape in my head of how it starts and how it finishes. And I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. So I think basically I just put myself back in that position of what I used to feel and how, you know what I mean, it can affect everything that I've built up to this point. So,
right.
Yeah.
You use past experiences. That's good.
Exactly. And like, people say move on from the past, and that's absolutely true, but also don't forget it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because the best way to improve yourself in life is, it's like sports, right? Your coach will let you make a mistake, let you make it the one time, you make it a second time, he'll yell at you, which makes sense. Just learn from your mistakes and keep moving forward to better yourself, right?
Steve, I think you have such a great, attitude when it comes to, working with yourself. A lot of people are so hard on themselves, and for you, it sounds like to me like you learn from that lesson all the time and you reflect on it and you're not too hard on yourself. I think that's a very that's a skill that a lot of people don't have, man. So congrats to you for being able to work through that and give yourself some ease to deal with that, man. I'm inspired when I hear people talk like that and think of themselves on a different, scale of like, okay, I've done this, it's a mistake, I can move forward instead of holding on to it. I think we hold on to a lot of shit.
Well, and the biggest thing, Derek, for me is the first thing I was taught when I get into treatment is my counselor said, I might say some shit that's going to drive you crazy, but sit back and ask yourself why I'm asking you that. So whenever someone comes at me with a situation and they feel the way they feel, and I still do it sometimes, is I just react. But I'm also thinking, I'm like, that person might be right. Like there's something that maybe me being hard-headed that I'm trying to not think of myself as, but there's a reason this person is saying that. So you just kind of reflect and sit. So anytime someone says something, I always ask myself why. I think why is the biggest question we can ask ourselves, in the sense of it's one way we can correct what we've done and improve on things.
I love that, man. I like to ask the question of books. Do you read a lot of books? Like, how do you gain this knowledge of like, developing more like better traits and characteristics to grow your mental health and your mental strength and your physical even, like are you reading anything? Are you learning anything?
I've actually read, the Theo Fleury book, Playing with Fire.
Theo, is that a hockey player?
Yeah. So Theo Fleury, man, his story is insane. So he was the captain for the Calgary Flames, super, super undersized. I think he was like 5'6", and he was one of the best players in the NHL, but he was molested as a kid from his coach, and he had a lot of problems. So he turned to alcohol and drugs, and he was he'd have a game in Calgary and he'd fly to New York City for the night and just party all night, get the flight back in the morning and play hockey. Like, he was just, his life was insane. Great read, man, if you ever get a chance to read it. And it just, he's been sober now for like 10 plus years. I don't know the exact amount, but I've read that twice. It's a fantastic read. And I'm reading, I forget what it's called, but it's the book on Anthony Kiedis. And he is the lead. He's one of the guys who's in the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay, is that the lead, or is it guitar?
I think it might be the lead. I don't know exactly. I'm not really into the book that much yet.
Okay,
but it's super interesting, his life story and what he's had to endure. And but other than that, man, I'm a TV guy. Like, my ADHD is through the fucking roof. Like, I can't sit still. You know what I mean? Like, I got to be doing something all the time. So. So I'm more of a TV guy, and I think in the last month, the one thing I'm stoked about is some of the stuff they've come out with. I think is
no doubt, man. They have some crazy stuff on Netflix, man.
It's insane.
I'm sure everyone watched The Tiger King and all that shit too. And
oh, dude, that's not like, man. If you think Carol Baskins didn't kill her husband, you're the dumbest person on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way. Absolutely no way.
That stuff killed me, man. That show actually.
It's hilarious. Like, there's actually people like that in the world, which I think it makes things interesting. That's for sure.
One series I just watched, man. I don't know if you ever watched this, but it actually really disturbed me. And coming from, like me being a '90s baby and growing up to R. Kelly, I don't know if you ever seen the show.
I haven't watched it yet, man, but it looks brutal.
Bro, it's insane, man. It makes you wonder about, like, what really goes on behind the scenes of these celebrities, man, especially when you get to like an extreme platform like he was on. You know what I mean?
Crazy.
This guy had he had girls that were like his personal slaves almost, man. It was kind of crazy.
I know.
Very
it's brutal, up. Man.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
If you ever get a chance, Steve, watch that series, man. That's one thing that just opened my eyes too. And especially, like, man, he had his kids playing with. It's kind of funny how the Michael Jordan series came out too. Because, like, at that time,
so good, man.
When he made that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, the guy's a freak of nature. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that series.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, R. Kelly's kids were playing with Michael Jordan's kids and shit too. Even Michael Jordan had no idea what was going on. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like, it's just the world, man. You don't know what goes on in people's lives, and like, for what I heard, man, that's just so fucked up. Like,
very
brutal.
Fun.
Yeah.
Moving on to a more positive topic, man.
Let's do it.
Your girlfriend, man. It seems to me like you guys have a really strong relationship, bro. And I like that. I like seeing people nowadays in a relationship that it's not fake, it's not phony. Like it's
Uh,
legitimate to me. And what do you think have you learned the most being in a strong relationship like that?
Dude, what she's done for me is just like, it's insane. Just the level of, she's the first person to bring me back when I get too high. She's just a great support system. She is very active as well. Like, man, you see this girl in the gym, she's a freak.
Yeah.
So like, she's great, like in the sense that, you know, I want to go throw the ball around, or I want to go to the gym. She's normally the one pushing me. Everyone always told me when I was growing up, they're like, man, you need to find a girl that can keep up with you. I'm like, frick, I'm trying to keep up with her. You know what I mean? So it's like, she's great. She's, when we met, she had a dog who's like my best friend, who's laying down next to me right now, hanging out.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so life's, man, it's so good. And I would not even be close to where I am in life without her. It is very genuine. I wake up every day. The first thing I do is I tell her how much I love her, and I'm just like, I'm super blessed in that sense. But yeah, life right now, man, without her, it would be, it definitely wouldn't be where it is. And I couldn't be happier. She's without a doubt my best friend.
Yeah, man, it's awesome to see stuff like that, and
Yeah.
obviously coming from you too, man, and you know, overcoming that big hump in life and having
Mm-hmm.
that support systems, like someone like that as genuine, and you know, someone that inspires you as well to push harder. I feel that in my relationship that I have now too, it's like, you know, when you do something that's inspiring to them, they reciprocate. You know what I mean?
For sure. For
And
sure.
you can build off that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
it's very important to have someone that's like as motivating as you are as well. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even for instance, like so big accomplishment I reached yesterday. I graduated college, which I never ever thought would happen. So I'm super proud of myself. But I woke up this morning, man. Like, I got a congrats banner behind me. I woke up. I had a Starbucks coffee. I had breakfast made, you know. And she's just like, I don't want you to do anything today. I'm super proud of what you were able to accomplish. And honestly, if it wasn't for her, man, I'd still be working at Myers, being a service advisor. Which, don't get me wrong, it was a good job.
Yep.
But it wasn't what made me happy. Super high stress. And now, you know, I got a job with the government that, excuse me, I got through a placement with my school.
Yeah.
So they hired me on. I start working full time on Monday. So she's without a doubt pushed me to be a better person and get to where I need to be. And honestly, whenever she has advice to give, I just sit and listen, because she's very wise, and she's smart, and she loves me, which is crazy, but you know, it's good. It's good, man.
Awesome, man. What does she do in life?
So she is a labor relations officer at CBSA. So she basically looks after the ports, and any internal issues, she deals with them. So she went to Concordia University for 4 years, got her degree, and now, so she's working at CBSA doing that.
That's awesome, man.
She loves it. Yeah, she loves it.
Good for her, man. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Steve, it's just so cool, man, to see that you're doing well, man. And obviously, you know, like I remember, you know, one of my favorite moments, and you probably won't even remember this, man, but like, you know, we used to dress a little bit like more on the gangster side, you know?
Oh, dude, man, yeah. I was,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you like, like when we were like outside playing basketball at recess and stuff, and it's like, I would just laugh, like how funny, like, you know, we used to just be, man. I don't know. You're the same guy, except like you're a grown ass man now. It's just
no, it's true, man. I'd always be in the schoolyard with my Sixers Allen Iverson jersey, man. By the way, my favorite athlete of all time.
Same.
Yeah, man.
That's one bond that we had. We've always had.
He's the best, man. The best. And I mean, the funniest thing I read a thing on him the other day. I posted on Facebook. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Okay. So they asked him, they're like, why didn't you weight train it? Like when you were playing in the NBA? He's like, man, that shit was too heavy. I was just like, man, like just something, you know, he's basically the reason the NBA's got a dress code now. Like the guy is just the greatest.
He is the greatest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else do you like nowadays? Who do you look up to, and who do you like get inspiration from? Sorry, like nowadays.
Nowadays, so I'm a massive hockey fan. I think Connor McDavid I just look at him as an athlete and how elite he is.
Yeah.
And my second favorite athlete of all time is Larry Fitzgerald for the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh wow.
Well, yeah, huge fan. There's no one who's more humble than he is. And I think like when I found out that Lucas, when he went down to the San Fran game in Arizona, bro, I was so like, oh my God, like
Bro,
what I would do to be in
there, man.
What happened?
Oh my God, bro.
I got to hear this shit, bro. Yeah.
It's crazy because I was even earlier to the airport in Kelowna, and then because of like this big ass snowstorm, my flight got delayed like 3 hours in Kelowna. And I'm like, oh shit, like, but it was okay because I had a delay when I made it to when I was going to Calgary, so I was gonna wait there anyway. So I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll get a delay, and then it will probably be good. Like I'll probably make it. But then for some reason that flight gets canceled, and then they're sending me to Houston, and I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah, like, what the hell are you gonna do in Houston?
And then for some reason, like the amount of like, I don't know, it was around Halloween, and every flight was booked, and anyways, they couldn't get me on a flight, man. So I made it to Phoenix at like, I don't know, I think it was like halftime. And Luke's like, man, you can still make it, and blah, blah, blah.
Lucas the optimist, eh? He's like, yo, you got this, bro.
I'm like, bro, I'm not going to make it. Anyways, I pull up. I have my suitcase and my bag, and I go, he's partying with like, man, you know San Fran fans are crazy, man.
Oh, dude, like, and the thing is with NFL games is like, and they're rivals, bro. So when he told me, he's like, man, I found people in for San Fran jerseys. I was like, Lucas can make friends with a freaking rock. Like, it doesn't matter, you know?
I see him come out. He's hugging 200-300 pounders. Like, they're like best friends. He's like grabbing onto their heads and shit. I'm like, what the fuck? Dude. I missed the game, but then anyways, we had a great night. We flew to Vegas the next day, and we had a good time, man. But anyways.
Man, Lucas is the funniest. Like, if there's anybody, if you're needing a laugh, Lucas Kirsten is the funniest person. Like, when I was listening to your podcast, when he's like, man, I can barely curl a broomstick, I was like, man, that's Lucas. Because I remember when we were younger, me and him were at the YMCA every single day.
Oh, yeah.
And, bro, this kid didn't hit puberty until he was like 18.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so we're sitting there and I'm working out and like I'm putting on gains. There's Lucas like 115 pounds, like just chirping everybody, you know, like, oh, dude, it's just like the kid was the best.
No, it's good, man. And obviously Luke knows this too, man. But obviously, as much as a good friend, best friend, and support system as he is to me, you know, he talks to me a lot about you and your progression in life, man.
Yeah. And no, it's great, man. It's great.
In there to even like, you know, me going through tough times. He's been one of those guys that, you know, he's always kept me level. You know, if I'm down, he brings me up. If I'm too up, he brings me down. You know, he keeps me, you know, he keeps me level. He keeps me neutral, man. And that's why I like Luke so much, is because he inspires me to be a better person as well every day. You know, he's very humble, and he's just always there to encourage me to reach my goals, man. So I'm glad that he's on your team too, man. And it's great.
Yeah, and the one thing that's great about Lucas is he might tell you some shit you don't want to hear, but you need to hear it.
You need to hear
it. You know, which I think is big, where it's like, man, like this is like what should I do? And he tells you, like, man, he tells you, you know, what you probably don't want to hear, but you're like, you know what, man, you're right. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Steve, before we sign off, man, like what's the thing that you can tell, that you can give advice to somebody, you know, that's going through, especially during these times, man, that's going through a tough time and that needs to hear some words? You know, what is something that you would say to somebody?
So, I mean, I've tried to pull a few positives out of this whole pandemic. And it's so tough, man. And I'm blessed. Like I said, I live with my girlfriend and my best friend. She's, you know, all wrapped into one. I got a dog, so I'm blessed, but it is definitely tough. You know, I'm one of the lucky ones to have a job too. But the one thing that I have realized, man, is when things go back to normal is how little I actually need to be happy. You know, like I've tried to pull positives. I don't need anything extravagant. I don't need to go out on a Friday or Saturday night to have a nice dinner, you know, like as long as I'm at home and hanging out with the right people. But honestly, like reach out to people. You know, if you just need that, you know, one-on-one, or just that, you know, human interaction, which every human needs, just reach out to a friend. And just, you know, I think, as far as we are apart right now, I think we should be closer together as well. I think, you know, so close together, yet 6 feet apart, unfortunately. But yeah, I think it's huge. You know what I mean? And life will get back to normal. So it's definitely going to take some time, but just hang in there, and and like I said, reach out, and once things get back to normal, it'll be nice to reconvene with everybody. So yeah, stay strong.
Steve, I'm so proud of you, man, and congrats, obviously, again on graduating college, man. It's a huge accomplishment for anybody, bro.
It is, man, and I was like a 50 average student, so for me to actually, so many times I wanted to quit, and I was working 35 hours a week, but I'm so blessed that I got it done. So I appreciate the kind words.
No, totally, man, and hopefully you have a great night tonight, just celebrating that with your girl and just taking it easy, and I appreciate you coming on, man, and wanting to do this podcast, and I miss you, bro. Like
I miss you too, and I gotta say, man, I've been listening to you, and what you've done, man, is fantastic. I think the message you're trying to get across is very positive. And if you could spread this thing a lot wider, I think it would really get some hits, and I think a lot of people could learn from it, man. So I'm glad to see you're happy doing your thing, and I always know when I need a laugh or a smile, bro. You're one of the guys, So I like your positivity, and I really like what you're doing. So congratulations to you, man.
Hey, thank you so much, Steve. I'm gonna sign off, man, for now, but we'll keep in touch, bro. Thank you so much. Love you to death, bro. And
I love you too, bro.
Hey, thank you so much, bro. Have a good day.
All right, you too, man.